will let you in on the secret of this house now. The secret of the bone. That's what we call this house now. I want you to go back to sleep. Now go back to sleep, my dear. Oh, hey. Well, I didn't have time to do something special for Halloween, so cold open. God, I love me some Robotron. I've been playing twin-stick shooters for I don't know how fucking long now, so when a bunch of Ruskies tell me they're cooking up a new title with plenty of goodies for an aging edgelord and starring a one, the Antichrist himself, you absolutely knew I was going to get down on that. And then the release date got pushed back. And then the release date got pushed back again. And then I was MIA for the release date when it finally came out. But, you know, the second the nameless priest dragged me back to my lair and sealed the entrance with ancient magics for another 1,000 years, that I got down on that shit damn near immediately. And I was done just as fast. Oh, what? You weren't supposed to hear about that little part until much later in the video. Well, hold on to your pensions, Granddad, because this is the brony blasting apocalyptic orgy of blood, bullets, babes, and bouncing bountiful breastises! BDSM! Big Drunk Satanic Massacre. The tits are very downplayed and the overall marketing played up the shenanigans a great deal more than what was actually presented. There, I just saved you however long this video was. This year for Halloween I decided to be a buzzkill. You are Lu, short for Lucifer, short for your Dark Lord, His Infernal Majesty, the Antichrist, and you've got quite the problem. The problem is your drinking. You've been doing a lot of it, and you haven't exactly been paying your tab. You black out, and that's when it's time to fill everyone and everything with either jizz or bullets until you are provided with pants. Irreverent humor is back in spades, and the game sits as a shrine of parody. The main attraction, of course, focusing on Doom parody, in which a portal to hell is discovered and the legions of the end times are introduced to burgers and Hustler. And the rest is, well, history. As Lu, it is your goal to traverse the many layers of hell to find the clown at the head of the Whack Arnolds and kill him, for ostensibly no reason whatsoever that I could divine. Yours is infernal providence, and mine is really not to question it. Along the way, you encounter various demons whom you'll either be slaying, fulfilling shitty quests for, or banging. Most of it is inconsequential, and chances are you're going to forget about all of it midway through whatever you find yourself playing afterward. So, let's say it out in order. Gameplay is a twin-stick gunning down countless nameless fucks, and it's not what I'm going to go out and say is even in the top 5 twin-stick shooters you can get your hands on right now. Lu controls smooth, as it's actually quite hard to make characters who don't in these games. It's a science. Just follow the fucking formula. However, that doesn't really extend to gunplay. Guns feel very stiff and weighty, as though they're built for a game that really isn't a top-down shooter. The shotgun is the second weapon you're introduced to, and you can pull the trigger once every like 3 to 5 seconds. There's a massive delay in the rate of fire it provides, and it really just kind of slows everything down in the first few levels. Later you get the aptly named Russian rifle, which offers a better rate of fire. Follow suit with a flamethrower and a laser cannon, and your pistol sits in a corner neglected, starving, shivering on a harsh Christmas night. Fuck that gun! Throw it in the trash! Oh, and I guess you actually also get a rocket launcher. It's okay. It seems like a small array of weapons, but each gun features a secondary fire, which is far more effective, but uses more ammo, but also simultaneously kinda makes you forget a primary fire even exists for most weapons. The shotgun fires a slug, which penetrates enemies and has a nice ricochet chance. It also has a recoil effect, which can be used to your advantage for maneuvering. The rifle has a grenade launcher, the flamethrower has a mine thrower, and the laser cannon is a motherfucking BFG. As I said, the secondary fire for everything except the BFG is far more useful and effective, and you're probably going to use them a lot more than the base fire. For instance, the shotgun is only good at close range, and with its slow rate of fire is only good for when you either don't want to waste 5 rounds or don't have 5 rounds to waste on benign crowd control that you don't want to spend other bullets on. The fucking flamethrower is fucking useless. The mine throwing ability is far more powerful than the fucking rocket launcher, with said fucking rocket launcher secondary just being rapid fire with less powerful rockets. The end. As previously stated, it's all pretty stiff, and you add in the incredibly slow manner through which enemies spawn in, and you'll get segments that just feel like they're dragging on for an eternity, especially in the late game. Gameplay lacks, unfortunately, is what I'm getting at. It needed a bit more oomph to really pack a punch. Graphically, however, the game looks great. Each chapter has its own design philosophies, all levels are distinct from one another, and the art direction is, let's be real, it's solid. It's more solid than most indie games these days. You know what everything on the screen is, and is supposed to be, even from the distance that the perspective creates. Rubble, piles of meat, tits on a statue, graded floors, vents, textures, they all stand out fantastically. It's not a hardcore spook your grandma style depiction of hell, it's more throw up your horns and have a rockin' time depiction. The weird combination of capitalism and hell makes for a delightful little setting that will, if all else fails, have some memorability in its own right. Chapter 1 centers on a never-ending hellscape of industrial settings and fast food joints. 2 takes us through what can only be described as Mexico, but also hell, filled with slums and ramshackle fucking shuckin' fucks. Chapter 1 centers in a never-ending hellscape of industrial settings and fast food joints. 2 takes us through Mexican hell, filled with slums and ramshackle buildings. 3 finds Lou going through portions of a city and a strip club and a fuck dungeon, and finally Chapter 4 gets a little generic before taking us through the mansion of the Big Burger Boyo. It's not exactly what I would call overly complicated or deep, but they all stand out from each other well enough with plenty of fun little bits and bobs for the player to enjoy. The soundtrack, however, probably gets the most unfortunate treatment. It's kickin', it rocks, it's not earth-shattering, but it's damn good enough in my opinion. However, it tends to get drowned out pretty hard by the sound effects. Worse still is whenever Lou chugs a beer, which he will, and I must mark, a lot, it's put behind a pseudo-drunk filter which pushes the soundtrack even further into the background. It gets a very unfair shake overall. As far as the edgelordery they promised, bang broad, specifically calling out genociding the alphabet crew, ponies, etc., let's be real and just say it's all severely overhyped. The sex minigame is... it's a game journalist kind of affair. You get a stock image of a woman on a trading card, not even in her birthday suit. You waggle the thumbstick in rhythm to the rumble feature if you're on controller, complete it, get a slightly altered version that's showing some nip. The end! Yeah, it's disappointing for how much they played it up. You never really get them big old demon titties in your face. As far as the edgelord kill the gays shit they advertised, it's a guy in a fuck harness who's a boss. I mean, it's a little played up to the point that it's kind of misleading advertising. If I'd been sold on the game for the hype they put up themselves, I'd have been pretty pissed off. But to be honest, I was more sold on the twin-stick shooter with Belial's bouncing baby boy, so I mean I'm only slightly disappointed. Speaking of bosses dressed for a Marduk concert, the bosses in this game are just downright slogs. They each have different ways in which you fight them, but all but one devolve into a multi-stage fight in which you just kind of have to sit around clearing hordes of mooks until the boss lets you shoot him again. Some even allow you to just sit in their grill unloading into them while they shoot harmlessly past you. They're funny, they're unique, but fuck my ass if they aren't boring as shit. Even the super secret don't tell nobody about it boss that follows the same routine. He's tougher, provides a good challenge, but he only comes if you do something specific and after the rest of the game. Up next, there's a minigame. It's interesting. Collect money on a game board, fight or avoid demons, get power-ups, get shotguns, etc. It's small and actually really addicting, but you don't get much money out of it, and you only get one shot at it per level. But I would be remiss if I didn't talk about skills and leveling in the game. Lou, our protagonist, has 4 basic stats: health, ammo, rage, and booze. By completing tasks and hitting certain kill milestones, you gain a point. If you don't immediately crank ammo, you will find yourself struggling and kiting with the pistol halfway through the first fucking chapter. Ammo, booze, and buying damage upgrades in the shop are going to be your main squeeze. Health isn't as important, as leveling how quickly your rage fills was mostly meaningless as well. A lot of skills may matter on higher difficulties, but I didn't miss them when I was playing even on the hardest. Ammo, booze, and damage. Without them, the game is an even bigger slog than even the boss fights can make it. And all that would be fine, except for the fact that you can't get all upgrades in a single playthrough. And there's no New Game Plus. Fuck's sake, guys! What have we got left? I mean, they didn't even have the balls to go all out with the Hitler. He's quote-unquote not Hitler, and his dialogue icon is censored. I mean, you get to bang him, but we already know what that's worth. Probably the game's worst offense is how short it is. You're looking at about a 4 to 5 hour game depending on skill. My incompetent ass got through the challenge me level difficulty on my first playthrough in 4 hours. Yeah. Overall, Big Drunk Satanic Massacre suffers from its own marketing and maybe 1 or 2 design choices that really drag it down. The game is fun, it has plenty of really good laughs, but a lot of it just kind of fails to launch. The sex minigame is awful, the bosses are a slog, half of the skills just get in the way, and it's incredibly fucking short. And yet, despite all that, it's tight, it's got great art design, levels are unique from one another, many with secret combats for extra money, a kick-ass soundtrack, and as far as I found it, several good laughs. Its downfalls don't really drag the overall experience down, but they do visibly hurt it. It's a small dev team, and personally, while they didn't quite nail it, I think they did a pretty good job. You'll at least enjoy your time with it, but I would suggest getting it for at least a $5 discount. I'm the Necroswanson. Fucking pool hamburger pool. Fucking 10 out of 10. Game of the year. Go fuck yourselves.